Ambassador Call, everyone. So glad you are all here. We have a lot of people on the call today, so I'm going to just go around the room, if we don't mind, just saying who you are so we can take roll who's on the call. Then we'll jump into, we have a full agenda for today. So let's see, I'll call on people that I have already written down. Let's see, Jen, you want to go? How about just tell us your name and what state you're from, because we've got a full agenda today. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Jen Banna from Montana.
Perfect. Leah?
I'm Leah Tesfa from Dallas, Texas.
And let's see, I've got Carrie.
Carrie, Ostrea, Vegas, Nevada.
Lori.
Hi, Lori Wise from Denver, Colorado.
And Jamie B.
Jamie Beekler from Billings, Montana.
And Brenda.
Brenda Harmoning from Billings, Montana.
And Melissa Fox. Do we have Melissa? I saw her.
Oh, sorry, I turned my mic off.
There you go.
Melissa Fox from Austin, Texas.
And Jamie Stefanski.
Hi, this is Jamie Stefanski from Colorado.
And Heather.
Hi, Heather Schichtel from Colorado.
And Hannah.
Hi, Hannah Barnhart from Nevada.
And I can't see everybody else, so whoever I haven't called on, would you say your name so we can write you down and introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Lily Brown from Austin, Texas.
Hey Lily, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Who else? I see Maria just popped up. Maria, are you there?
I'm here.
And you're from Colorado, right?
I'm from Colorado.
Great. Who else is on the call? I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I can see the names then. Debbie Bridge, I think. Debbie, are you on? Thought I saw her. Debbie from Texas. And anybody
Debbie,
else? Oh, yep, you're there.
Debbie's muted.
Oh, Debbie's muted. Okay. Debbie, you're muted. All right, I'll introduce her, Debbie Bridge from Texas. And anybody else that's called in? Mallory just popped up. Mallory, are you there?
Yep, that's me.
Great, and you're from?
Colorado.
Colorado, all right. All right, hopefully I've gotten everybody. If not, please speak now. Let us know you're there. If not, we'll go ahead with the agenda. I'm gonna share again so I can see everybody. There we go. Okay, hopefully my slides are back up. So I am Christy Weiss. Most of you, I think I know every single one of you on here, so I won't go into long and lengthy introductions. But here is our agenda for today. So we are switching our format a little bit for our genetic ambassador calls, and this is from your guys' feedback. So I so appreciate everybody that's given ideas and let us know what you'd like to see out of the genetic ambassador calls. But today we're going to do a little bit of a hybrid call. We have Heather and Carrie on the line that are going to share with us today and present. I say present loosely in quotation marks because I told them it's very informal. They don't need to do a formal PowerPoint presentation. We're going to talk about genetic pop-ups. And we're going to talk about the genetic ambassador calendar idea that was proposed a couple months ago. And I am recruiting for Facebook Live. So I will talk about that at the end if we have time as well. So I wanted to start off by just doing a little recap of the Genetic Summit. So many of you I see that are on the call today were at the summit, and we were so appreciative that you all attended. And I just wanted to find out if there were a couple of folks, and I've put a little bug in some people's ears that might have been a consumer scholarship winner or who may have come as a member of the state team that might want to give just a little bit, maybe a very short couple-minute recap of what your thoughts were about the Genetic Summit. So is there anyone on the call that would like to share about their experience at the Genetic Summit that maybe I asked? earlier?
I think you asked me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Leah?
Who was that? Leah. Yeah, Leah. Go ahead.
I was able to attend the summit, and I was very happy I had the opportunity to do that. I was able to meet with other families and very inspiring what some people are doing. I work primarily in the area of autism, but I do support families who have various genetic disorders, and I did not know much about them and the resources that are available to these families. So I'm very well equipped to help the families that I was not able to in the past. I mean, I got something from each of the presenters. I took notes, and I am very glad I was able to attend and learn so much so I can share what I learned with many of the families.
Thank you so much, Leah. And Leah was one of our consumer scholarship winners. Her picture's there on the slide here. And Leah, can you tell how you came to know about the scholarship?
I came to know about the whole thing, the whole ambassador, and
yeah.
the opportunity, the whole
kit and caboodle.
Exactly. I was not aware till I went to a genetic pop-up that Susan Owens had done in Texas, in Dallas, and she told me about that, and I was very interested. And then from then I was given the opportunity to apply, and I got the scholarship, and it was really, a good thing. And I visited New Mexico. I've never been to New Mexico before. Great.
Well, we're so glad you attended, and thank you so much for your feedback. I'm glad to hear that some of the things that you learned will be able to go back into your community and be useful for those that you're serving, the other families that you're serving. Is there anybody else on the call that would like to share a little bit about their experience at the summit? And this goes for, constructive criticism as well. If there's things that you experience that you think could be made better, especially for consumers, since that's our focus here on the Genetic Ambassador calls, is our consumer focus. If there's anything like that, please feel free to share that so that we can pass that along for future planning too. So is there anybody else that would like to share about the summit?
This is Mallory. I'll happily go. Hey.
Thank you.
Sure. So I was the consumer scholar for Colorado, and I attended the conference. I thought it was of course, it's always a good experience to be able to participate in a conference and, connect with other people in your region and learn different things. I personally found it to be a little bit overwhelming. I've gone to a ton of conferences throughout my career, and I think it's always difficult when there's a jam-packed schedule that's very clinically focused. And I felt that this event did not have a lot of room for people who were consumers. I have said a lot in the genetics realm that it's either very clinically focused or very parent focused. And as an adult living and thriving with a genetic condition, I felt that, and I continue to feel that it's difficult to find kind of where I fit into all of that. I felt it was very, very heavy on newborn screening. And while I think that's something that's very good to learn about and hear about, I felt like after a while it was like, there's only so much that as consumers that we can advocate for. I wanted to see more of how we can advocate for our own conditions beyond taking the time to kind of start our own nonprofit and make it our full-time gig. And I also made the suggestion of having maybe a consumer track, like dividing the conference up into different workshops that you can take. I thought it was interesting that it was sort of an all day, go to this, go to this, go to this, because so much of it, based on what we do, either professionally or personally, it's rare that a whole day of events is going to apply to everybody. And it's nice sometimes to have that choice. And I've gone to other conferences where there was opportunity for kind of the consumers to have sort of a debrief or like a center where we could kind of gather and have our own time to discuss kind of what we got out of it and, how we were feeling. I know for many people, the realm of genetics can be very emotional. And so it's nice to sort of have that human connection and be able to process the things you're thinking and feeling throughout the day. But overall, I like that I attended. It was great to see everybody and continue to see where my professional and personal experience as somebody living with a rare genetic condition can continue to fit into the landscape. So I'm really happy that Christy blasted that opportunity out and that I was selected, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mallory. And thank you for your transparency too, because I think, you know, figuring out how to make a conference so that, like you said, so we know that one topic is not going to meet everybody's needs. And so we've gotten this feedback a lot. I shared it personally. I said, you know, that day 2 was a little bit too long and too jam packed. And I think what happens from my perspective on the planning committee was that so many awesome speakers came forward or were referred to us or were willing to come and share their expertise with us. So, you know, it's hard sometimes to say no, because you're like, oh, but you know, this would really help this group and this would really help these people. And so I think, you know, in all of our best interests, we've jammed it too packed. So I appreciate your feedback. And I also have heard from a number of people about the different tracks. And so that's definitely something that I think will be discussed going forward if there is another genetic summit, which we hope there's going to be, because we did just find out that the RFP came out for extension of the grants of the regional genetics network. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for your feedback, Mallory. I really appreciate it.
Christy, I just wanted to add that I recognize
that's Jen Bana.
Jen from Montana. That one of the things that the Genetics Summit has tried to do is tried to bring together the 2 tracks in a respectful way so that we can have like equal communication. So I can see from, like, I really appreciate what Mallory said, because I think we've heard that feedback a lot as you and I have been on calls, but it's really interesting to figure out how to bring us together with those professionals. You know, that whole how we use first names and we're not like, you're a doctor and I'm a parent, and, you know, so finding that space in the conference to have that equal respect and discussion while still allowing for that space for that professional provider track and then the parent track. And then of course you've got family-led organizations like mine. I can see Lily Brown's on the call today. So you've got some family-led organizations that come, and also state leaders that come that are working in state departments. So there's really quite a mix of people that you're drawing in. And one thing that happened for Montana that I think was really impactful is that we traveled with one of the people from our genetics hospital, and him just traveling with us and hearing our stories, he learned a lot from just traveling, like being with his own state team and us telling him what it looks like from our side or what parents are saying. And so I think that's another thing that happens at the conference that you don't plan for. So there's all these nice side pieces that happen that aren't necessarily part of the big plan.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Yeah, we have as I always say, we have a lot of customers in Mountain States, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of different groups of customers. So making a one size fits all is not the easiest thing, but especially for allowing for those organic conversations to happen. But also the biggest change this year in the Genetics Summit in this grant cycle was offering continuing education credits for primary care providers, genetic counselors, and nurses. So that because there is such a bulk of focus on that, we have to work within that structure as well of the continuing education credits, of it being a clinical conference. Of that is who we are trying to attract as well for the grant deliverables. So just something to, just all those things have to be keep in mind, and we have to balance them all and juggle them all. So I wanted to put a blurb out to all of you, and this will come up on another genetic ambassador call as we get closer to this. If we receive continued grant funding, in the planning stages, we usually plan a genetic summit about 6 to 8 months out from the date that it's actually held. And we often go to our, it's usually in a newsletter or through our state teams. I'll be sharing it on this call, but a call for people who want to be involved in the planning and people who want to refer people for talks and things like that, or these comments. So I highly, highly encourage you. I know we're just past the summit, so it's all fresh on our minds, and we've done our surveys and we've given our feedback. But when that comes back around, if that comes back around in the planning stages, that's another really great time for us to share our consumer voice and what it should look like, and to remind everybody at the table, hey, this is something really important I want you guys to consider. So I'm just putting that out there because we usually do it in the form of a Survey Monkey, but be looking for that should grant funding continue, and we'd be planning another genetic summit in the next grant cycle. So, and I will alert you to it, but I just want to plant that seed in your mind. When you see it, don't blow off the survey and say, I don't need to answer this because they're not going to listen to me. That's usually another starting point. The evaluations plus this survey are usually the starting points for a planning committee for the genetic summit. So it's a great time to lend your voice to that as well. Anybody else on the phone that came to the summit that wants to share anything? If not, we will shift gears over to Carrie and Heather. Anybody else?
Christy, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's that, Jamie?
Jamie from Billings, Montana.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I'm going to try to summarize the best I can because my mind is all over the place after hearing everyone speak too. And I'm like, oh, there's this, and all that type of stuff. So I just want to say I appreciate it. I know, Christy, it's kind of an inside joke a little bit about how I became a winner and just getting a hold of you and
let's share with the group so it's not an inside joke. Jamie was the only applicant from Montana, and I couldn't get a hold of her for weeks.
And when she did say I won, it was very important that I had to attend. We have the very first all-inclusive accessible playground in Billings, and I'm like, thank you, but I have to make sure I can go to that, even though this was such a big thing. But yeah, she literally cannot get a hold of me. And then
right. We hunted you down.
I'm so glad that I went though, just from so many different aspects. And I appreciate what Mallory said too, so I'll touch on that as well. But it was super jam-packed, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it was over my head as far as, the speakers, which I know is very difficult to bring so many different people together, even though it was a level playing field with just our names, that type of stuff. I met so many wonderful people. It was jam-packed, but I really appreciated being part of, the very first meeting and learning so much about, the lack of geneticists and counselors, getting a broader view of what the board members have to do, the grants, the big decisions that have to be made during the year, and not just for families, but, all the other, moving parts, like I said. And just really, I was empowered to be a bigger part of how to empower the primary care doctors in ways to help families, because it is such a long wait. And kind of moving forward, Christy, I haven't even talked with you about it, is what is the bigger piece that I want to play with advocating for others? I mean, I think the whole summit was amazing, but the piece that I think was missing was kind of more time to kind of breathe through things and being able to be a part of, like I was with the state committees, on how can we help moving forward, advocating for others. I have 2 kids with special needs, and how can I be more involved in that and in brainstorming? I don't feel like we had that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like Jennifer said, we had a big piece traveling with us. He was phenomenal, those that don't know him, but for us to be able to give the feedback, the different pieces, the different people that were with us, were able to get a little bit of more of a perspective from us and how they can move forward within, the genetic counseling and all that type of stuff. There was just so much, and I'm talking a million miles an hour, but just so many ways that things came to light on how I can help and the different testing. And even though my son, there's 50 in the world like him, on how many rare disease types, and it just lit a fire under me. So moving forward, I want to be a part of that. I just felt like I did not have an opportunity to have that with other consumers, to be able to talk those out. I would have loved to have more breakout sessions and being part of the state board and the questions that they asked about, bridging the gap with and starting the conversation with the underserved population, all those types of things. I just didn't feel like we had enough time to talk about that. So
this is a common theme. We will never have enough time in person.
Yeah, right. I just felt like that second day was so long, and Mallory, how she said it, totally just hit it on the head. I just felt like there wasn't that time, and some of that stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what that meant. But it was great to have that opportunity to be amongst so many different people, doctors, and whatnot.
Well, and I know I made the day too even longer by adding on a consumer dinner at the end of it, but I really,
I loved that.
Really the only time for us to all get together and kind of, be relaxed and just kind of share. And so that was very intentional. We always try to do that on that evening, because it's, you know, first day's travel, last day's travel. That's kind of the only evening that captures everybody. But you're right. We need to be intentional about you know, debriefing and next steps and things like that too. So.
Sure.
But trying to fit that in the time frame is challenging. So please keep those keep that feedback coming. And like I said, don't let us lose sight of it as we go into planning, if we are to get that grant that will extend this you know, this grant cycle. So
yes, absolutely. I was very appreciative of the dinner, because that did give us that opportunity. So yeah, it's very hard to navigate all of that and all the working parts like that. So I appreciate being able to come and receive that scholarship. So thank you so much.
Great. Well, thanks for coming. All right. Well, I'm going to switch gears just for interest of time. Thank you guys for everybody who shared information about the summit. And if there's anybody that, I know we have our consumer scholarship reflection papers are due this Friday. If you need an extension on that, just send me an email. I've only gotten a couple so far. But if anybody else on the call wants to share feedback with me one-on-one, either through that mechanism or through a call, just wants to debrief about the conference, please let me know, or about the summit, please let me know, and I'd be happy to set up a time to talk with you more one-on-one. So I'm going to try doing this each month, having a featured genetic ambassador or somebody outside that's not a genetic ambassador come in and speak to us. So it's not just me talking all the time. This was something that was requested by those of you who had given feedback on what the calls could look like going forward. And so this month we're going to start with two of our very own genetic ambassadors, Heather and Carrie. And they, right before our summit, genetic summit, they attended the Global Genes Conference, which was a Rare Patient Advocacy Summit. And I just have a little bit of information on here, but I'm going to turn it over. I think, Heather, you said you're going to go first. Just to share about this event and their experience at it, and for the purposes of letting you guys know that it exists, but also putting it on our calendar for next year for their 2020. And this, I'll go into the calendar piece of this after they're done talking, but I just want to this is an attempt to try to get us thinking forward thinking for events that can help make us stronger genetic ambassadors. So go ahead, Heather.
Great, thank you, Christy. Just so y'all know, I normally don't have the horns. But, so I'm going first, as last year was, in September was my first time attending, and then Carrie has been a part of this, I think, ever since it started in 2008. Is that right?
Heather, before you go, do you mind just sorry, I should introduce you, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself. What's your connection to Mountain States?
Yes, so I'm Heather Schichtel. I am part of the Colorado consumer team. I also run a nonprofit called Miracles for Mito. So, and that's focused on mitochondrial disease here among the Rocky Mountain corridors. Families from Montana all the way down to New Mexico, Utah, over to Kansas. We serve probably about 100 families, and that is growing as people are hearing more about us. So mitochondrial disease is a genetic condition. It's a rare genetic condition. And I heard about Global Genes they were doing a tour, more or less, called Rare on the Road. And they had gone to several different states and were talking about what they do. And Mallory, kind of what you had said, you know, how to advocate for your rare disease without it being a full-time job. And so I went to that in February. Was it? Yeah, February. And they were talking about this Global Genes Conference in San Diego in September. And as we talk about dates for next year, it is on the heels of our conference. So next year it's September 21st through September 23rd, San Diego again. It is amazing. Carrie, you know, hats off to you guys for putting together such a hopeful, energetic conference. There are about 2,000 people that attend. There are rare diseases from cystic fibrosis to SMA to, you know, diseases where there's one in 100,000. It is heavily sponsored by pharmaceutical companies, and so that kind of means that I felt so taken care of, from the cocktail hours to all of the swag. And I think what's great about it is that it really does, there are different tracks. And so you can go in as an advocate for your rare disease, and you can see other advocates who are working just on their part and what they do and how impactful they've become. A big focus this year, and again, this was my first year, so I don't know how it's been previous, but what I took away from it is that technology is really getting involved in this space, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot as far as different apps that people can utilize to really create an online virtual community for your rare disease and how to make that happen. A lot of really inspiring speakers. Carrie spoke and did a great job. There was a podcast, this group called Two Disabled Dudes, who, if you have a chance to look them up and listen to their podcast, they're amazing.
Highly recommend listening to them.
Highly recommend.
They were
great. Fantastic. People who work with Google and people who, work with big data and kind of how we all collaborate to, even though every rare disease is unique, but as one voice, we're a very strong voice. And that's what I really walked away with, is that together we are a very large, empowered voice. That's kind of what I took from it. It was lovely, and it was in San Diego by the pier. So it was very good. I plan to attend next year. One other thing, when you get involved in this community, you realize how vast it is. So this got me involved with Rare Disease Legislative Advocates, and they are doing World Rare Disease Day on the Hill, and that is the end of February, and they're offering travel stipends. So if anyone is interested in seeing what they're doing in DC and how to lobby for your cause, I would definitely check them out.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather.
Of course.
So that was the newcomer perspective, right?
Yeah.
And now we're going to shift gears over to Carrie, and she's been to this and has actually worked for Global Genes in the past. So Carrie, why don't you give us your perspective?
Sure. And I'm laughing. Does that make me the old person? If Heather's...
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, just for transparency's sake, I actually have been involved with Global Genes for 9 years since it began, including 5 years as an employee. And this summit was my project for 4 of those years, so I'm kind of a little biased.
We feel honored to have you in our region.
It is so good, Carrie. It really was amazing.
And just for everybody on the call, just to give you a little bit of background about it, it is truly an advocate-forward conference. It's for us. It's usually about 60 to 70% personal advocates or nonprofit leaders, with the rest being made up of biotech, pharma, industry-related, research, leading researchers from the NIH, NCATS, and a lot of really high-level people who, the rare disease community is a very small community, and it's truly the cream of the crop attend this conference. And it's very TEDx-like style in the way they do the presentation. Very casual, very comfortable, because it is a lot of information that you take in very quickly over the 3 days. And as Heather said, it's not just the tracks. There's social hours, there's networking times. They had a band this year, which a mistake because they couldn't see anybody. But they did have a band in the exposition hall. But they also, like Heather said, they offer travel stipends, and they're very generous with the travel stipends for first-time attendees. That usually opens up in March or April. So if you want to attend, they very much love having new people. And there's a lot of us who are kind of groupies at this conference by now, because we actually learn a lot more talking to each other and what we each. And that's kind of like why Christy and I think get along so well, because we both share what we've learned and we teach each other. That's a lot of what you're going to get at the Global Genes Conference. It's really that bonding with other advocates like us. So I really would love for everybody to attend. I didn't get to attend the summit last year because it was literally the same time.
And Carrie taught me that, and so we made sure we weren't on top of each other at this point.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Because after having come to the MSRGN summit, there is so much that we can work together with both Global Genes does and what we do here with this group, that I think it's just so many opportunities for us all to build on what we're doing in all of our respective areas. So if anybody ever has any questions on the Global Gene side of things, or the Every Life Foundation, like Heather mentioned, I've done their Rare Disease Week on the Hill about 5 times, and it is a phenomenal experience, and it has the same kind of Global Genes, very friendly, outgoing feel. I definitely recommend you doing it if you have that opportunity. But I'm here to answer any questions whenever, so feel free to ask.
Yeah, so does anyone have any questions that they want to ask online for Carrie and Heather? And if not, then we will, if you need their contact information, I'm happy to provide that and connect you guys if you want to talk, if anybody wants to talk with them offline, because I think I heard both of them say that they were okay with that, right? Right, ladies?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And you know, one thing I missed the travel stipend application. But it is not an expensive conference. As an advocate, I think it was $175 for the conference. They feed you the entire time.
Yeah.
It to San Diego was not super expensive. So it really, they make it as advocate friendly as they possibly can.
Great. Anybody have any questions for them that they'd like to ask now? Has anyone else on the call been to the Global Genes Rare Patient Advocacy Summit?
We're going to have a party when you guys all come out next week.
Oh my gosh. It really is.
Bring her horns.
I'll bring my horns and my feathers that keep like sticking up in my face. One of my, to talk about the inclusivity of it, they had writers who wrote who are writers in Hollywood or in LA, and they talked about, one of them was on Supernatural, and they talked about like how to write your story and how to tell your story and how not to be inhibited by you know, the brevity of how your story can be. And these were people that were like movie stars, and I came up, and you all know me, I came up and attacked both of them, and they were very gracious with their time and helping us get our word out to the rest of the world about the important work that we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you both for sharing today. I appreciate you both so much. If there's not any questions for these two ladies, we'll move on, but you can find them in our Genetic Ambassador Facebook group. That's another way to connect with them. And again, if you want to reach out to me with my email address, I'm happy to connect you guys via email. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you
so much.
Oops, let's see. All right, so you are hearing it here first. We are going to be launching our genetics pop-ups round 2. If you were at the Genetics Summit or been on these calls before, you've heard about our genetics pop-up that we launched in the spring. And in 2020, we have decided to do a rare disease theme because of feedback that we got on these calls. I think it was Michaela from Colorado that said, wouldn't it be cool if all of the 8 states in the Mountain States region did something for Rare Disease Day? And we were coordinated, and we actually, you know, all did something around that time frame. So for those of you who are on the call that don't know, Rare Disease Day is an awareness day for rare diseases that is held every year on February 29th, 2020. And Carrie, why is this the date? You told us in your presentation.
Because it's the rarest day of the year.
Because it's the rarest day of the year. So it is right now 121 days away. It seems hard to believe. It's actually this website and the concept came out of Europe. Rare Disease, Eurodis, I think is that how you say it, is the founder of the idea, or the ones that coordinated all, but it's worldwide. So shifting over here, whoops. to the United States. This is their webpage. NORD is the USA national affiliate for Rare Disease Day, but that doesn't mean that they you know, are the only ones doing it. It's a nationwide event. Global Genes is involved, and so what we're looking at. Let me skip back here to the genetics pop-up slide here. What we're looking at is the applications going out next week for the pop-ups. And those are open to any genetic ambassadors, any consumers in our region that would like to have a genetics pop-up. We have funding for 8 pop-ups, 8 more pop-ups, 1 per state. And right now we have the deadline for application as December 1st. So we'll have about a month to get in those applications. We are hopefully going to get applications from every state and be able to award every state in our region a pop-up. However, if a state does not apply, if someone from a state does not apply after that December 1st deadline, we will look to say, okay, well, we had 3 or 4 applications from Colorado and none from, you know, another state, so we can award more than 1 to a state. But we're going to really try. Our goal here is to have our entire region represented with genetics pop-ups for Rare Disease Day. I have built some things on the website, so I just wanted to show you, if you're not familiar with the pop-ups or you want to read more about them, they now have a home on our website. Under the For Families tab, there is a genetics pop-up drop-down, and I have a map there and hyperlinks to the 2019 pop-ups that we had. We had 5 of those in the spring, which we had the panel discussion about at the summit, and you can click on those locations and actually see the photos from the summit, and who the genetic ambassador was, when they had it, where they had it, if they are a representative of a organization. So that's a great way to kind of see what's already been done with the genetics pop-up. I also have a link on there for the resources for the Gene in the Box resource kit, because I got a lot of questions at the summit as to what's in that box. Hey, I would like to have access to that because I'm going to this thing. And Leah, you were one of them that asked, and I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get it all on there, but it is there now, and it's all there for you, because anything that's a PDF, you can now just click on, link to, and print right from the website. The resources that need to be ordered, I've provided you with a link where you can order them. Fewer and fewer are being able to be ordered for free from the federal level, the national level. So they are now putting up PDFs whenever they're running out of supplies. So I have a link for those PDFs as well. So I'm still in process with a couple of these things, updating them, but the bulk of the information is up on the website if you guys want to take a look at that. If you're considering doing a pop-up or would like to apply for a pop-up coming up. So what this means for the Rare Disease Day, and you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I'm busy on February 29th, I can't apply. We are not making everybody do this on February 29th. That is Rare Disease Day, but really we're looking at the window 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. So it's kind of the month surrounding, which will be February and into March. But the 4 weeks surrounding 2 before, 2 after Rare Disease Day, to try to have that as our target window. So it's around Rare Disease Day, and we can use the rare disease awareness that will be going on nationwide and worldwide to kind of help promote it. Oops, let me go back one. What just happened? Here we go. Can you guys see that? No. Did it stop share?
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Okay, sorry. Let me share again. Let's see. I noticed here, I don't know if you can see this, Carrie. So this is the rarediseaseday.org US page, but they have events listed, 2020 events listed in the United States, and Carrie's event is already up there. The 2020 Vegas Cares About Rare Kids Day for Little Miss Hannah Foundation. So this is something else that will be really exciting that we will be able to do with this, is that we will be able to submit our events as Rare Disease Day events and get more traction, more publicity for them if we want to. This is not a requirement, but they do different maps. Some of the organizations have maps and they have pins. They'll drop pins where Rare Disease Day events are going on. And so that's something else cool that we can do to kind of raise awareness about rare disease and genetic disorders in our region. So I am excited about that. Does anybody have any questions for me on this? Before I
question, but you know, something perhaps we can do is at our Vegas Cares Got Rare event, because we're going to have about 500 people, including most of our Little Miss Hannah families, is if we can get somebody else outside of, you know, obviously me and our Little Miss Hannah families come out from the Nevada team, we can give them room for a table for a pop-up.
That would be awesome. And Carrie, I'm going to make I already made this introduction via email, but Hannah's on the phone as well. So
oh yeah,
Hannah meet Carrie, Carrie meet Hannah. So that you two might be able to connect on this.
Yeah, she and I already got a call scheduled.
Perfect. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys some other resources and some other things to think about as you're thinking about whether maybe you want to do a pop-up or not. Since NORD is the National Alliance for the United States, I went to their website and looked at their Rare Action Network, where they have state team pages. And this came up on the Colorado call. I think it was Tracy Keller who kind of pointed me in this direction. Anyway, I looked up all of our states in our region. And they have pages for Rare Arizona. I'll flip through them here real quick. Rare Arizona, we've got Rare Colorado, we've got Rare Montana, Rare Nevada, Rare New Mexico, Rare Texas, Rare Utah, Rare Wyoming. So I'll go back and go through them one by one. But basically they have these pages set up and they have rare ambassadors, state ambassadors through NORD. Oops, sorry, went too far. Anyway, only 3 of our states have ambassadors. So I do not know if anybody is on the call from Arizona. I don't think I heard anybody. But I've sent an email to Melinda here to reach out to her as a connection. I've reached out to Nick. I don't know if anybody, let's see, Carrie or Mallory, anyone on the call from Colorado. Does anyone know Nick, perhaps? He's listed as the Colorado State Ambassador for
I think I know him.
NORD. Who was that? Who knows him?
I don't.
I think I met him a while ago through the advisory committee at Children's Hospital. It's been years.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen him for a while. Yeah.
Okay. I have a call scheduled with him next week because I emailed him as well and he said he'd be happy to talk to me. So I have a call scheduled with him next week at 11 a.m. Eastern time. If there's anyone on the call right now that would like to join me on that call, you're welcome.
I would like to join you.
Okay.
All
right.
Can you send out the information, Christy, to the Colorado folks?
I can. Let me double check with him if he's okay doing a group call first. If not, I will briefly talk with him and then send out a call that we can all get on. But let me touch base with him first and make sure that he has the time to do a all group call. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say. I mean, I think we could say with the intention of being mostly informational.
Sure.
I think in the efforts of not recreating the wheel, it would be helpful to know what's going on.
Absolutely. And that was exactly my reason for reaching out to all these folks. So just FYI, Jen and who else is on there? Brenda and Jamie. Montana does not have an ambassador. Nevada does not have an ambassador. New Mexico does not have an ambassador. Rare Texas has 2 ambassadors, and I have a call scheduled with Deborah also on the 5th next week. So anyone from the Texas call that would be interested in that, I can reach out to her as well and ask if she would want to do a group call as well. And these are more just for informational purposes, just so we already know what might be going on in the state for these states. Utah does not have a ambassador either, and Wyoming does not have an ambassador. So that's just an overview of our states with the people who are doing, with NORD, who is heading up the Rare Disease Day information. So this brings us to our calendar. And this was, again, an initiative that was mentioned on this call, and something that that was requested by ambassadors is kind of having an ongoing calendar of things that might be of interest to ambassadors throughout our region. Those can be things that could be national events, like we talked about the Global Genes Conference. They can be regional events, or they can be state-specific events. And I am going to look to all of you on this call to help me populate this calendar. And I'm going to keep it just in a PowerPoint format for right now that we'll review each call. But I wanted to start it and get the wheels turning and people starting to think. You're more than welcome just to send me an email or forward me an email of something, say, please put this on the calendar. For November, I just got this morning. Casey, from who's a co-leader of our Texas state team, sent me this. CERN is actually our sister regional network covering the states that are shown there: Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, I think in Tennessee. And Casey actually used to be part of this regional regional network when she lived in Louisiana. So they are doing a consumer interactive series on preparing teens for transition to adult healthcare, and it's coming up on the 12th. And it is going to be at 7:30 p.m., so in the evening time, at least Eastern time. And I'll be posting this on our Facebook page today, but I'm happy to pop it in the Genetic Ambassador group as well. So if there's anyone you know that might be interested in this, if you're interested in joining this, I just wanted to let you guys know this because it's one of our sister organizations, and it's consumer applicable. For December, I don't have any events listed. I've looked at a couple different calendars and don't see any big events, genetic events for December, but if you know of any, please let me know. For January 2020, our grant proposal is due. So I mentioned that we had gotten they call it the NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, for a continuation of the regional networks grants. They're proposed at a 4-year grant cycle in addition to the one we have now. And that would start June 1st. So our proposal for that grant will be due January 14th. So I just put that on here. And I put Rare Disease Day there for February. And then I have a slide which is basically March through the end of the year. Excuse me. And I put 2 events on here that I know about: the Global Genes that we've already mentioned, and then the Living Rare event, Living Rare, Living Stronger event is May 14th through 16th in Cleveland, Ohio. And that is a NORD event, I believe. So does anybody else have any things for the calendar that you know that are going on in your state, in our region, nationally? I probably want to keep it to US events right now, unless there's something awesome going on overseas that's funded that we'll have our trips paid for. But if there's other events that you know of, simply just forward. Many of you are on lists that I might not be on. So if you're on a mailing list and you get a email blast or something like that, and you're like, oh wow, I think Christy should put this on. This would be good for other advocates in our region. Just forward it to me, and I'm happy to add it to the calendar. And I think this calendar will obviously grow over time as we know of more and more events. Any ideas?
Is that calendar? I'm not on the on my computer at the moment, but is that calendar available through the consumer menu on the MSRGN page?
So we only have one calendar hooked with the Mountain States website. So I have not figured out if we can combine them, if it's going to be too much, because it's what we use right now for MSRGN events specifically for people to see those. So what I will do is put this recording up and also the PowerPoint slides up after this call. So it will be available under the Genetic Ambassadors tab that you can click on and see these dates. Will that work for right now until we figure out what else to do with it? Okay, perfect. Does anybody know any December events coming up? I know it's kind of a slow month because of the holidays and stuff, but if anybody knows of any, please let me know.
Yeah, December's usually a dead month because of the holidays.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is Mito specific, but we are having our Miracles for Mito Christmas party, which is, we have a special needs Santa and a Mrs. Claus, and all the kiddos who show up get toys, and we also have some speakers from Children's that will be participating.
Okay. So do you have to be a Mito family to attend? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Not really.
Not really. You bend the rules.
Well, we're Miracles for Mida. I mean, we have several families who, as you know, Christy, who are like, I think it might be Mida.
Yeah, I understand.
Potato, right?
If you want to send me the information for that, I can definitely add that.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All righty. I'm going to switch gears. These are some last minute couple things that I want to just mention. And this is because we have some of our consumer scholarship winners and people who might not have been on these calls before joining us today. So just a reminder of the Mountain States website. That's where we try to keep all of this information. So after calls and things, we do put the recordings up of the genetic ambassador calls. So if you're not able to attend one, you can watch the recording. And those are on the For Families tab. I don't know if you can see my cursor right here, but the For Families tab has drop downs, and the genetic ambassadors have a drop down on there. Your Genetic Questions Answered has a drop down on there, which is our Facebook Live recordings, and the genetic pop-ups, as I mentioned, also have a new drop down on there. But that's where I archive a lot of the information that will be specific for our ambassador group. And then I mentioned we also have a Genetic Ambassador Facebook group, and I know there's some of you who just attended the summit for the first time that might not be on there. So just wanted to let you know about this. And the best way for you to, for me to put you in there is for you to email me and give me the email that you use for Facebook, because I can then send you an invite to your email, but it needs to be the email that you access Facebook through, because you'll click on the invite and then it'll ask you to join. So I think most everybody that's been on here for a while, I've gotten in there, but if you're not in there and you're not seeing the posts and things, let me know and I can check in the group and see if you're in there. But I want to make sure that anyone that wants to be in here is in here, because it's a place. If I get a last minute something or other like, hey, there's funding available and it closes on Friday, I put it in here and I tag everybody. And so it's a way that sometimes email isn't fast enough. You might check your email and you've already missed the funding opportunity, but sometimes we're on Facebook a little bit more often. So that's one way I've used this group in the past, is if there's something urgent that comes out. I also share webinars and things like that as they come up that I think might be specifically of interest to our genetic ambassadors. So if you would like in the Facebook group, just send me an email and let me know. And I mentioned that I am recruiting for Facebook Live. So we have been doing Facebook Lives, and we've only had one consumer, Heidi Wallace, as part of, or do a Facebook Live for us. And so I would love to see more consumers doing Facebook Lives on these questions. And Heather has already told me she would be willing to. So if there's others on the call that would like to talk with me about that, it's not live. You don't have to do it live. We're going to pre-record it and then it'll go live on Facebook. So you're allowed to mess up and we can re-record and stop and pause. And you can't wear your horns, Heather. I'm just kidding. But we have questions that people have been asking, and many of them are consumer advocacy type questions. And I have a list of those. So I can provide you with the questions, and you can read through the questions and say, oh, I know the answer to this one, or I've experienced this, and help. It's to put information out there to help other families navigate and learn about genetics. So if you're interested in doing that, please shoot me an email and I would be happy to talk with you more about it offline. And here's all my information. You can find me at kwees@mountainstatesgenetics.org, or you can call me or text me at that number there. And I think we got 3 minutes left. So I'll open it these last 3 minutes to questions, comments, anything else. Is this a good format? Do you guys like having a speaker? What's some feedback on the new format, since we're not doing the serving on groups training anymore? No, everyone's speechless. It was so amazing. They're speechless.
I enjoyed hearing the speakers about the conferences and everything coming up.
Okay, so that was helpful. Thumbs up to that.
This is Hannah from Nevada. I appreciate Christy for inviting me to this. A little bit of background about me. I actually used to live in Alaska, and we're now in Nevada. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job here at Mountain States Regional. because I used to work for the state of Alaska, and so I was on the policy side of things. And I actually don't know if the Western States Genetics has a group like this. So I'm kind of curious to know if they do. And this is awesome that you guys are doing this. And I'm now on the other side of the spectrum as a consumer. So this is just awesome. So thank you guys for this.
Thanks for joining us, Hannah. And I can't wait for you and Carrie to connect next week. So to make a comment, I do not think the Western states or any other regional genetics networks have a group like this. Some of them have consumer groups, but at most they might have one person from each of their states. So maybe a group of 7 or 8 people. So, I actually was just on a call this morning with the National Genetics Education Center, Education and Resource Center, and they were interviewing us, asking us what we were doing with consumer involvement in our region. And I was able to share these calls, and he's like, that's really unique. We don't know of anybody else that's doing anything like that. So we are unique in this genetic ambassador program specifically. Go ahead, Maria, were you going to say something?
No, I just want to thank you for everything regarding the conference. I know Jesus enjoyed a lot.
Oh, good.
Even we drove over there, but I like to drive when it's not a really, really long distance. I used to drive 12, 13 hours.
We should tell everyone, Maria, you drove twice.
Yes.
You went up and back because they went back for the balloon festival 2 weeks after. Is that right?
It was wonderful. Actually, for the balloon festival, we went with the family, so I didn't drive at all. So, but it was just fun to be in the, with family. But just going to the conference, I think really Jesus enjoyed. I think he just being the panel was a really good experience for him, and it just I know he enjoyed it. And
he was awesome. You both were awesome, but I'm so glad he joined us too. You guys were both awesome, and thank you for sharing your experience with the pop-ups. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for all you have and to the whole team. Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any comments or questions before we sign off for October?
Happy Halloween.
I hope you win your costume contest there, Heather.
Thank you. It's $100. I'll buy some shoes.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thanks, Christy.
Bye-bye.